Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Back on the topic of the NFL today. Today, Jay and I are talking Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to be looking at the top five, the five best players on this roster going into 2021. There's a lot of great players on this team. Obviously, reigning Super Bowl champs. So today we're going to be looking at the top five best players on the team. But before we get into this video, do you guys think, as our question of the day, do you guys think that the Bucs will win back-to-back Super Bowls? Of course, coming off of a big win last year. They put together essentially the same roster with the exception of AB, who's still on the market. Will this team win a back-to-back Super Bowl? Comment below what you think, and at the end of the video, Jay and I will answer that question. But Jay, I guess we're going to be going over our top five players on this team. Him and I are likely going to have different lists. Start with some guys that didn't make your cut, but you think deserve to be talked about.
Yeah, definitely a couple honorable mentions, in my opinion, are going to start with Antoine Winfield Jr., star rookie safety for the Buccaneers, kind of the leader of that secondary, or soon will be if it is not passed on to him yet. Another guy, another rookie, Tristan Wurtz. I seriously do think, talent-wise, he deserves to be on this list, but not to bore you guys, I'm not going to give him a ranking of top five. Therefore, he's an honorable mention. Another two that arguably definitely could be in the list, but in my opinion, they were just short just because of how talented this Bucs team is. First one, JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul. I really want to include him in this list because the fact that the guy has never lost in the playoffs, he's 8-0. Anytime he's made the playoffs, he went on to win the Super Bowl. That is an insane stat, but I can't give him the edge in this list I don't want to say just yet. He's not getting better, but I just can't give him the edge in this list. And then the second one, Chris Godwin. I like him a lot, but he's not the number one receiver on the team to me, and therefore, when you're making only top five players, Chris Godwin is going to fall short.
Yeah, starting with some of mine for honorable mentions, I also have Chris Godwin. Got paid less than $1 million last year, got himself the franchise tag this year. I like Chris Godwin a lot. He's pretty talented, but he dropped quite a few passes last year in the playoffs. He's not going to quite make the cut for me on this list. And another one that I guess now looking at his stats doesn't belong in the list, but I love Leonard Fournette a lot. He only ran for 400 yards last year regular season, so that's not very impressive. But he was sharing carries with Rojo, so I just want to mention Lenny because he was a huge reason the Bucs went all the way. But really, Godwin and Leonard Fournette are my two honorable mentions, and then Antoine Winfield Jr. I like a lot. Had a couple big picks in the playoffs, including the one that really sealed up the Super Bowl. So I like him as well. But go ahead with your number five.
Yeah, one more that we all like, but he doesn't make the list. Gronk. We like him, but he's not the Patriot he used to be. But number five on my list is going to be Devin White. I seriously think between him and Lavonte David, you have the top two linebackers in the NFL. Devin White, I think he could become the number one linebacker in the NFL. He might eventually surpass Lavonte David, being only 22 years old, only being in the second season. I like what I've seen from him so far. Had 9 sacks last season, but he has not passed Lavonte David yet. And like I said, I think he's probably already in the mix of top 10 linebackers, but just because he is so young, I'm holding him back to number 5.
So for me, my number 5, in my opinion, being a rookie O-lineman protecting the greatest quarterback to ever live is not boring at all. If I'm not wrong, I guess we just talked about this. I think the number is 1 sack he allowed. It was credited to him last year. Tristan Wurtz, of course, is who I'm getting to. Right tackle, rookie, just super talented guy. An O-lineman, obviously you're not going to see him out there scoring touchdowns, but he's obviously very important to this team, and an O-lineman arguably put the hardest work onto the field. So I like Tristan Wurtz as the number 5 for this top 5 list of best guys on the team.
That sounds good. Number 4, I got Lavonte David right above Devin White, and reason being I don't have Devin White above him. Teacher, or the student has not passed the teacher just yet. I like Lavonte David. He's respectively considered the most athletic linebacker in the NFL. He's going on 30, but he has shown no sign of him regressing at all. I think he's a top 5 linebacker. Devin White, he's top 10. I love Lavonte David all around, and like I said, I do think Devin White could eventually surpass him as Devin White gets more experience and gets better and gets more into his prime, and Lavonte David gets older. We'll eventually see him take a step back, but the Bucs re-signing him. I got him number 4 on my list.
For me, Lavonte David was a guy I should have mentioned as honorable mention. He does not make my list. He's been with the Bucs for, 9 seasons now?
No. First
playoff appearance. Of the linebackers, I guess, between him and Devin White, evidently on my list, I have Devin White above him. It's arguable. In the playoffs, Lavonte David did obviously a good job of covering Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl, so that is a good point there. But my number 4 is going to be Devin White 9 sacks last year, and only his second year in the league was a huge reason that the Bucs were able to shut down Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl. He had several pressures on Patrick Mahomes. I just loved it what Devin White's doing, and he's just such a young guy, and he just loves to win. I got Devin White as number 4.
Fair enough. Number 3, I got Mike Evans. Mike Evans, he gets his respect, but I feel like when we think of top receivers in the league, we always automatically go Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, DK Metcalf, Julio Jones. I feel like Mike Evans just flies under the radar a little bit. To me, he's probably a top 8, top 9 receiver in the NFL, and when you're that in the NFL, you're going to be a top talented player on your team, and I like him as the 3rd best player on his team. Him and Chris Godwin are a little bit, I guess, getting closer in that comparison, and I'm still taking Mike Evans in his big. I think he's 6'4", 6'5" frame. And the reason Chris Godwin has been successing so much is because Mike Evans is so hard to guard. They sometimes have to double team him, and therefore when you're getting double teamed, I think that shows you're probably the best receiver on your team. So I'm going Mike Evans at number 3.
Yeah, number 3 for me. Also, Mike Evans. He's the number one of this team, number 1 receiver of this team. I think he's obviously a huge role in that offense. This last postseason, he played a big role. Since he played for A&M, I watched him since then. I used to be an A&M fan, or whatever, when Johnny Manziel was there. I like Mike Evans a lot, so I do think that he deserves the number 3 spot. One thing I saw out of him this last postseason was, I don't know, he kept his composure really well. I just remember in the Saints game going up against, was it Lattimore? I guess probably Lattimore would have been covering him. There was a couple times where they got into something and Mike Evans just kept his cool and just played football. That right there, I think, was one of his biggest things that I didn't like about Mike Evans, was the fact that he tends to get just involved in stuff on the field that he shouldn't. So I think this last postseason really showed he's here to play football, and I think, like I said, his frame's good. He likes to go up and get the ball and win football games. So I got Mike Evans as number 3.
Yeah, and the unselfishness. I mean, when they brought in AB, they asked him and Chris Godwin, like, you're gonna take less snaps, you're gonna get less catches, and they're like, we want what's best for us, and we want what we're gonna win with, and AB was the answer. And even in the Super Bowl, he had, I think, 1 catch. Just shows he's determined to win. He's not worried about his numbers. He wants what's best for him and the team. So I definitely believe he deserves number 3. But at number 2, I'm going with Shaq Barrett. He is the number 1 paid defensive player on that team for a reason. I like Devin White. I like Levante David. I like JPP. But Shaq Barrett is paid number 1 for a reason. 19.5 sacks in his first year with the Bucs in 2019. This past year, he only had 8 sacks. But when a guy's getting 19.5 sacks the following year, you're going to give him a little bit more of attention, possibly double team him, and therefore his numbers to fall back are important. But without Shaq Barrett, I don't think this Bucs teams win the Super Bowl. And you can say that about a lot of these guys. But like I said, he's the highest paid defensive player on this team for a reason, and therefore I think he easily deserves number 2.
Yeah, for number 2, I'm going to go Tom Brady. Definitely 100% the number 1 reason why this team won the Super Bowl. The biggest reason why they won the Super Bowl, the pay cuts, the football IQ, the experience, all of the above. But as far as talent, he's not the most talented guy on this team. I think, again, he's definitely the biggest reason why they are where they are, where they coming off Super Bowl win and one of the favorites for next season. 100% that all belongs to Tom Brady. But as far as talent, he's not going to be number 1 on my list.
Fair enough. I do have Brady at number 1. Just to me, if you were given the option of starting a dream team, a Fantasyland team, and you got to draft a player from every team, there's no way you don't take Tom Brady for the Buccaneers. He's a GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. I get your point, but just until we see him regress, I can't not take the crown from him just yet. I got him at number 1.
I'm going number 1 with Shaq Barrett. I think what you just said, if you're building a team around a guy, I think I might go this direction. I don't know how old Shaq Barrett is, but he's probably going to be almost 30.
Yeah, around there.
Maybe he's just shy of 30. So he's young enough to build a team around. And I think that the team that the Bucs obviously had was just a quarterback shy of going all the way, which is what Tom Brady allowed them to do. So it's not just Tom Brady that makes this team good. It's just the fact that they have all these pieces put together. And if I'm going to start a franchise with a 42-year-old guy in Tom Brady or 41-year-old guy in Tom Brady versus a 28-year-old guy on defense that's going to lead my defense, I'm going to go Shaq Barrett. I think 2019 he had 19.5 sacks. Last year I think he only had 8, but he won with Denver. He's obviously a key part of winning defenses. He's just an animal there at outside linebacker, so I'm going to go Shaq Barrett number 1.
Yeah, I get the long-term aspect for sure, but right now I just...
Yeah,
one season, it's
seems
not a
weird
wrong
for me,
answer,
yeah,
really.
It seems weird for me to go against Tom Brady, the Tom Brady route, because I like Tom Brady a lot. Yeah. But I don't know. There's just so many things about this team that makes it just a perfect team to win Super Bowl. So you take one piece away, it could change all of that. But those are our top 5 lists of best players on the Bucs. Comment below what you think, if you agree with ours or disagree. But as far as the question today, Jay, are the Bucs going to go back-to-back?
It's going to be tough. It won't be easy. in the NFL, you just don't see back-to-backs. I mean, Mahomes, he fell short of it. Russell Wilson, he fell short of it. Of course, those were against Brady, and now we're dealing with Brady. And the last time to do it was Brady in 03 and 04. So, I mean, if it was one guy to do it, I do like him, but it'll be tough to beat Matt Stafford and the Rams, Packers, a healthy Niners, Seahawks. NFC is tough, but biased or not, the Bucs, they're one of the first team ever to get their starting Super Bowl roster back. I do think they will go back-to-back. I think at minimum they will make the Super Bowl. Win it all, that's another thing. But if I was still forced to pick one, I would say yes, they go back-to-back and Tom Brady gets 8 Super Bowls.
Yeah, I'm looking for a Chiefs-Bucs rematch, to be honest. I mean, the NFC is going to be super tough. I do look at the Rams as the really the biggest threat. The Packers I don't think will be that good this year. And, I mean, you look at the Niners and the Seahawks really Niners and Seahawks out of the NFC West. Those are two big threats, but I think it's really the Rams, and I think the Bucs could top the Rams. But the Chiefs, we know, are going to be hungry for a redemption against the Bucs. And since I do have the meeting, it's going to be tough to not choose the Chiefs because, like I said, Patrick Mahomes is not going to want to lose again to Tom Brady. But there's no way. I just think that there's no way Tom Brady goes out with his career passing the torch to the younger guy. There's just no way. So I do have the Chiefs and the Bucs meeting again, but I got the Bucs taking it. So I think the Bucs can pull off the back-to-back. That's my vote. Again, comment below what you think about next year's Super Bowl and whether the Bucs can repeat. But that's all for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. 2-minute warning.